the ever-illustrious Team Tentacle, and it looks like we are in the waiting for players phase.
Yeah.
And someone has set up the lobby incorrectly, and we'll just wait and see.
Good news though is that we get to have two maids dancing with each other.
Yes.
That's like the only.
There's been a truce, so no, only one's doing the dance. The other one just isn't playing along. Not yet.
All right, we should.
Oh no! Oh no!
All right.
Okay.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
What's more with feeling? That was dress rehearsal. We're going on to the Lijiang Tower, and the first point of call will be back to the main screen. We were going towards
It's working it out.
We were going towards the garden. I do want to see garden be played because we have not seen it tonight.
No, we have not. We saw in the previous series. We saw this map or this round stage right off the bat with the control center, and then we saw Night Market. It was done after that, so it would be nice to see the gardens, but yet again we're back to the control center, so we'll see how both these teams do fare up. I'm not sure what to expect from these two teams.
Indeed, but that is the pleasure of these lesser known tournaments or the lesser known teams, especially in the amateur ranks. You never know what you'll expect. You could see the very next rising star amongst this server, and nobody would be any the wiser. We're just about to go into the first attack for both sides. We are on control center, and we'll run you down your starting lineups in brief. On the side of the Junkeroos, we have Splash, Bananas, David, 80 Bear, could be worse, could be better, and Dark Eric. And on the side of Team Tentacle, oh, that's going to be fun. We have F. Scott, Cirque JB, Aliana, Fresh Eggs, EVP, and Rain Monitors.
Yeah.
An eclectic collection of handles in amongst those ranks of Team Tentacle, but we go into Control Center and the battle will begin, and I'm actually really, really curious as to how this will pan out, especially with Cirque JB on the McCree.
Yeah, and also Rainmon is going onto the Genji, so a very aggressive lineup, and going up against the rather beefy setup that looks like it's going to be coming in from the Junkeroos. A very early charge, doesn't really get punished for it too much, but Fresh Eggs does manage to take down 80 Bear, who did step a little bit too far forward, so it's going to be a good start for them. Not really in position to get a free resurrection, so this is going to be a man advantage going over to Team Tentacle, but a nice charge goes in and attempted a counter charge but doesn't actually land it, so just trading back and forth. But with the point being activated and with ground being taken up by Team Tentacle, they are going to be able to secure first position on the point.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be an elongated fight. The longer they can keep this going, the better it'll be for Team Tentacle. They will prove to be the slipperiest of slippery sea urchins and things. And it looks like there was a huge overextension from Could Be Worse. And there he goes. There goes the blade. The blade on Shiba and Ray Monitors. And it's caused quite a storm as well for taking out the Mercy and Hanzo. So that war of attrition is well and truly won by Team Tentacle.
Yeah, that's going to just shut out that. If it were any two others, and having the Mercy still available, they could have potentially brought someone back and continued the fight, but it's not going to be the case, and they're just going to make their way slowly back towards the point. They are coming close to getting their ultimates, and they could be using that tried and true combo that we've been seeing so much recently with the Graviton into the Dragon Strike. As we are having the rally up being used as they make their way towards the point, just waiting for that armor to really stack up before they make their move. As they are starting to slowly creep their way onto the point. The Valkyrie was used and Earthshatter gets dropped, but the counter Earthshatter is going to be really good and secures a kill onto Could Be Worse. But we got trading back and forth. The Deadeye does pick the Mercy out of the skies, and it looks like the fight is going very much in the side of Team Tentacle.
Well, so the shield's up right about the shield got actually broken and doused in flames thanks to EVP, and that's another fight won for Team Tentacle. Looks like the Junkeroos are running out of time, or this entire control center will be falling to their opposition, and it'll all be, well, junk indeed. We're running into 90%, and just now they're running on to the point and wanting to fight on it.
Ooh.
And losing David very early on is going to prove to be quite detrimental to them, and so JB will knock out Could Be Worse. And none of the members of the Junkeroos roster will actually touch the point. They got so preoccupied with that entire fight, they did not get into the circle in time. So that is a 100-0 wash for Team Tentacle, and it's going to be quite a slimy realization to the Junkeroos squad that it just blinked away from them.
Yeah, they just were not able to make their way onto the point, and we saw it in one of those fights. Could be worse on the Reinhardt. Really overextended, was not in a position where the rest of the team could really help out, and it didn't help them in some of those fights. So have to be a little bit more conservative with those charges. Try and be a little bit more reserved with his positioning. Try and let the team do a lot of the carrying when it comes to the damage, and not just throwing a charge out there thinking you've got to play to try and make those big plays.
Indeed, you don't have to be like the Reinhardt in the cinematic. There is a little bit of finesse that comes to it. It looks like we're going into the gun, and instead of going outside, they're going into the server room, and EVP's come out for worse for wear from that one. Just going tip for tap, both the Reinhardts, just being like rock'em sock'em robots. Rainmeter's actually bought very low, but EVP will clean up with Cirque JP on the assist. 3Ks for him, and the point once again will form the Team Tentacle. And goodness me, this has just been Team Tentacle just clearly outclassing the Junkeroos, and they're going to have to pull something together. With David actually being staggered as well.
Yeah, throughout that fight, with Ray Monitors diving deep into the backline, it really split the attentions of the entirety of the blue team trying to make their way onto the point. As the Junkeroos were trying to help out the Reinhardt, they also had the backline trying to deal with that Genji, who was being a real nuisance, so they ended up getting picked apart. When the Reinhardt went down, the rest of the team wasn't able to keep the fight going, and they ended up falling in response. So now they are going to try and make their way towards the point.
Keep it on Rain Monitors, as a matter of fact. He's going on the flank right now, and right in the server room. The 1-2 taken out, though. Cirque JP and Eevee will be sent down and out, but there is still percentage being accrued by Team Tentacle, but could be worse. Will make things a lot better for his squad by taking out both of the supports. And it looks like Ray Monitors and his aggression may be the actual downfall of the entire squad. Aliana does hit the deck, all 6 are on the point, and the first percentage of this set will be accrued by the Junkeroos.
Yeah, they were able to finally get something to happen. They managed to get the good opening, and at that point, Could Be Worse was free to just continue left-clicking and cleaning up the squishy members, and even the frontliners of Team Tentacle, and to see how Team Tentacle will be able to make their way on the attacking side, trying to make their way onto the point. They have a full belt of ultimates to use coming into this, to see how effectively they use them coming into this.
But not almost sent Eevee to the fishes, and that's exactly what actually happened. And Bananas, it could be worse, have basically thwarted this entire push, especially with the member in the drink. So now that the Junkeroos have actually ducked their heels in, it looks like things could actually be better. But you did mention there is a full stock of ultimates on the side of Team Tentacle. They did not use any in that fight, and if they play their cards right, they could make the Junkeroos defense collapse entirely.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. Oh, with Could Be Worse, he's in a very different position to where the rest of the team are. And here comes the combination. They're going with the Dragon Blade into the Graviton Surge, as they are going to be able to clean up 2 members. Yet again, it's going to be the Mercy and the Hanzo, and the Deadeye does clean up 2 more. Coalescence trying to help out on the defensive side, but it's not going to be enough, as the rest of the team falls down, and Team Tentacle cleanly secure that fight, but they had to use 5 ultimates to do that.
Doesn't matter, they got it, I guess. And the only ult that's really on deck now is the Earth Shatter to prevent a potential charge. But if you look at the side of the Junkeroos, we do have a Graviton and Earth Shatter on deck, so that could end up being quite fruitful for them if they play it right. They're all gathered in the server room to push out towards the point. It looks like Raymond is just doing the tap, and then he loses his legs thanks to the Mighty Hammer. Bananas will drop Raymond, so that is one big threat taken out of the equation. And as nice as you like, that is the entire defense crumbled. And just like I said, it could be considered a profit now, but I don't know. They do get 96% on the side of Team Tentacle though. But
yeah, they just need one more fight, clean team fight, and to be able to flip over the point and potentially just secure this map for themselves. But coming into this, great Graviton! It's going to pick off 2 members as they are going to get dropped right off the edge. Really nicely done there.
Bunch of tanks too. They're going to be left very short.
Yeah, so taking down 2 of those tanks, and that is just going to secure the rest of that fight. And it was looking a little bit iffy for Team Junkeroos.
Making me
got it into my head earlier about Junkeroos. So it just completely went into my head, but a really great turnaround and great securing of that last fight with that Graviton, just dropping 2 very pivotal members right into the drink to secure them that round.
Indeed. It's almost like it was a Wayback Machine. Like, what year was it? Like, you haven't seen a player like Graviton Surge used to pull people into the moat. You don't see that anymore. The Graviton Surge into the Dragon Blade, you don't see that often either. Genji, period, you don't really see all that much, depending on the matchup, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the time, it feels as though the Brigitte just deals with the Genji a little bit too well, and because the Brigitte also brings a lot of other function, you can realistically play her and deal with the Genji reasonably well with the stuns and also the extra crowd.
Yes.
It's really hard for him to dive into the backline and have a lot of freedom there when you just get bumped around and just demolished so incredibly quickly. But moving over to this 3rd map, it is going to be the Night Market, and Raymond is actually going over to the Pharah, wanting to go for a little bit more of an aerial style, which is going to prove quite useful into the more compact style coming out of the Junkeroos. But coming in onto the point is just trading back and forward, but it looks like it's going to get a little bit blue as they are forced into some more closer quarters as Raymond is trying to get some work done, but has to back away from the point, and the first securing of the point is going to go over to the Junkeroos.
Just like Dunkaroos, as you mentioned earlier, they make the kids very happy. They'll be very happy with the effort on Garden and their first effort on Night Market. You're making me hungry now. Stop it.
We were talking about pizza earlier and how we still haven't really eaten much, but yeah.
If that's not different. There goes could be worse. He's put his cold shoulder into Aliana, but that may be to their detriment. Their entire team's been split on the side of Team Tentacle, but Raymond is still raiding up on the side by taking out Bananas. And there goes the legs of Addy Bear. And F. Scott will finish him off. And God, just like that entire fight outside, the only people that are left are fighting on the point, and they're slowly being outnumbered, especially with Aliana's strong-arming splash in a submission.
Yeah, that was an odd passage of play. We had several members from both sides outside the point and a few inside the point, so we were just fighting on multiple fronts, and in the end it was the side of Team Tentacle that managed to get the better of it. And now that they've set up their defense, they've got quite a few good ultimates to work with. It's going to be a little bit difficult for this attack to really stick all that well, because right now they've got the Coalescence, they do finally have the Valkyrie and also a Dragon Strike, but I'm not sure how effectively they can get it to work, as the Deadeye was used very quickly and a bit sporadically, as they don't really get anything out of that, as the Coalescence was used. Raymond does take down Bananas, so that's a good start to the fight. They also take down the front line. Could be worse yet again, overextending, not having the team there to help out. And this is going to stall out this push just a little bit longer.
Oh, it could be worse. Is actually saying, yeah, it could actually be worse. I could be overextending even more. He's having a bad habit of that. And even worse still, they barely use any ultimates on the side of Team Tentacle. There was only Cirque JB and his Deadeye that was used to pretty much no avail, not even to break a shield or anything of the sort. So it's going to be an even tougher fight from here on out for the Junkeroos, but they decide to have a go of it with the Graviton.
Here we go.
There you go.
If one fails, just throw yourself a Graviton and a Dragon Strike.
Just stick to what you know. If it works, why not? And that will flip the point over to the Junkeroos. And with minimal investment, that could be just the turning point that they actually needed. But with all that being said, they do have the Graviton Surge, the Earth Shatter, and the Barrage as well. So multiple other combos to really keep an eye out for, both from the ground and the air.
And now we're seeing the same thing. We've got Rain Monitors on the Pharaoh trying to get in from an angle and try and split the attentions of the defense, but that is not allowing it to happen now. They've just set up a position on the point, wait for the rest of the attack to come in, and here comes a rather long-range barrage. They do manage to take down one. The rest of the team, it does clean up a few other members, and that is going to be the fight going over to the side of Team Tentacle, but there should be enough time for another contest coming out for the Junkeroos. One more, maybe.
Yeah, one or two more, depending on how staggered out they were, but David got stretched out real bad by Rain Monitors and the Mercian pocket, so it's running down on time for the Junkeroos to mount a counter-attack, and it looks like Brigitte has made the call. Rallies to me, and I will guide you to victory. And Eddie Bear will make Eevee eat a ton of flail. Overtime will be in effect. It looks like they are trying to strong-arm the point back for themselves on the side of the Junkeroos. Splash will make Cirque fall to the coalescence, but others will put arrows right through the armor of Eevee. And slowly yet surely, the resources of Team Tentacle are being bled out, but there is still a war on the point with 3 versus 3.
Yeah, and the Pharaoh in the skies isn't really being contested all that much. They do take down the Zenyatta, but Rocket Barrage is up yet again, and they do manage to get the help from the Mercy there to let that rip even harder. So they manage to take down 2, and this could spell the end of the Junkeroos here on this map in Yijang, but they're trying to keep the fights going. Another rally comes out from 80 Bear, who has been doing an incredible amount of work in this fight, trying to give the rest of the team enough time to make their way back as Rain Monitors doesn't get taken down by the Dragon Strike. So they are able to get back onto the point. Overtime is still ticking in favor of Team Tentacle, but they're starting to lose members as the rest of the blue side are making their way back to the point, and here comes the Coalescence yet again. They are going to finally secure themselves the point, but for how long that was drawn out, they might have another defense to try and or have to hold on for one more, but resources on both sides have been expended.
Entirely tapped out, and now Eevee is actually at an advantage. He actually pulled out the hammer, put it down, and then put the cold shoulder right to the Junkeroos. You were turned back into the scrap heap by Sir. Draven is able to reply, but Sir JP is brought back into the fight, as is Splash. Both of the resurrections have been put on cooldown for the time being. There are 6 members of the team of Tentacle that are on the point. They're going to get a shadow from could be worse. It's going to be a lot better, hopefully. He's put the cold shoulder to one of the members, but now he's being purely overrun by manpower and tentacles. It's going to be very, very slow from here on out. There is only the Hanzo of Bananas to contend with, and that is... Oh my goodness, they're still going for it. Splash will be eating a high noon bullet. There is a Lucio there trying tooth and nail on the side of the Junkeroos to try to keep this fight going. The point will flip over. David will hit the neck. Could be worse, and just short of contesting the point once more. And Team Tentacle, in an absolute marathon on Night Market, will claim this map 2 points to 1. And Phoenix, breathe.
That was such back and forth throughout that entire fight. It looked like one team was going to secure it, and then there was the reinforcements coming in, and they were able to keep the fight going for so long. And in the end, it was just going to be a little bit too much, and Team Tentacle are going to secure it. But a lot of credit goes over to 80 Bear on that Brigade, who was able to stick around for so long. Got about 3 rally ups throughout that final fight. Oh boy, if that's how a lot of this series is going to go, I'm actually a little bit more excited now to see how the other maps are going to go. A lot of people will call it scrappy, but whether you think it's scrappy or not, it's entertaining to say the least. Yeah, exactly. And we'll get points just like that final absolute brawl on the Night Market of Lijiang Tower. And after all that, we will move to Rialto. And after all that, Team Tentacle did end up winning 2 maps to 1. Oh, man. They'll be thanking their lucky stars for that one. Yeah, that could have gone either way. There was really close moments in quite a lot of those fights, which could have ended up spilling a lot of the pressure in one way or another. But yeah, it's really hard to really pinpoint one moment that really turned a lot of those fights, because there was just so many things going on so many different fronts that It was you'd have to look back at it like multiple times just to really get an idea of everything that was going on because it was just chaos, utter chaos throughout those last fights.
The good kind of chaos, though, the type that you'll remember and go back to when you go back to your reels. But we take a moment to breathe and have a little bit of siesta, and we go on to the second map of this 3-map series. We go to Rialto, which, as we allude to oh so often, it's a map that is just introduced into the map pool. It was only released a couple of months ago and was put into Blizzard's official map pool for contenders and trials. And seeing it evolve, even after seeing what we've seen earlier in this entire round robin stage, and just even earlier tonight, just watching it all take shape, what do you make of it all?
It can snowball really hard. Like quite a few of the payload maps, the second checkpoint, it's very hard to try and hold that. It's either how do I say this? It's similar to King's Row second point through the streets, where you can either have a really strong early defense or a really strong late defense. But a lot of the time, you were just going to go flying straight through that second point, and that seems to occur reasonably frequently in Rialto because of how open it is. It's very easy to force forward and create a lot of space for yourself. So a lot of the time, Rialto, it's either you put up a very strong defense or you're not putting a defense at all. And that seems to have happened quite a lot.
Indeed. Well, we're in the process of having a couple of people subbed out. We've had... Who did we just have leave, as a matter of fact? We had Dave and B tagged out and brought in it. David and Splash, as a matter of fact, have been tagged out on the side of the Junkeroos after that hard-fought effort. And now we have tagged in. We have Your Left Sock. Oh, man. What about all the other socks that went to the sock effort? Yeah. Don't be discriminatory. They could go both ways. And Urbanique will be tagging in as well for David. And we are finally ready and good to go. So we are traveling to Italia and the map Rialto. And your attackers will be... I believe it will be...
for it.
It'll be the side of Team Tentacle who will be your attackers.
We'll have to wait and see what compositions we'll be seeing out of these teams. We have, from time to time, seen the Orisa on defense for that high ground, but it has, even at this early stage, started to fall away a little bit because you don't necessarily have a lot of impact around the progression of the payload. So a lot of time you see a little bit more defensive, a little bit more deeper defenses with the Reinhardt, moving back to the courtyard and using some of the sight lines in there to really hold a lot of that position. But we'll have to see how some of these teams are going to try and attack and defend here.
And well, I guess it should be said, keep an eye on the heroes that can really stretch the range out, like your Hanzos, your Widowmakers, even your McCrees and Soldiers when they pop up from time to time, because especially the first point, there is a lot of long sight lines to keep an eye on and a lot of damage that those heroes can do if they are left unchecked. And it looks like everything's fallen into place. We have a Moira Hanzo, Zarya, a Brigitte still for 80, but I mean, if it works for you, why not? Urbanique on the Reinhardt and Dark Arake as the Mercy in this instance. So yeah, pretty much par for the course, especially given that they are, well, gathered up top, just looking at the attacker's gate.
Yeah, they are going for rather similar compositions. What they, well, at least for the side of Team Junkeroos, they did go for a very similar composition in the previous round, or the previous map, going for the rather beefy lineup with also the Hanzo pulling a lot of the weight when it comes to the damage, as Sir KJB takes down what could be worse, who has switched over to the Moira, not going for the Reinhardt this time. Urbanique is taking Reinhardt duties now, so we'll see how that changes some of the dynamic in a lot of these fights, as they are going to drop down onto the point, and they are starting to punch away at some of that front line. The Brigaders are doing a decent amount of work, but they're the first ones to go down in these fights.
That might be a true indicator and a true sign of what's to come with both brigadiers who went the deck. Scott did bring Red Monitors back into the fight, but got eaten and taken down by Obenik's mighty hammer. And there you have it. It looks like there is going to be still a fight on the point. They're going to try to strong arm it back. Obenik will take out Cirque JB.
Oh.
Absolute menace of a fight will keep going. And Aliana bought extremely low and may have to be forced to retreat. No, but Nick, goodness me, you and your mighty hammer are falling down upon their heads. It has been an absolutely scary wake-up call for the attacking side.
We're talking about it could be worse overextending on the Reinhardt in the previous map. I think Obenik just took the cake with that one, going all the way towards the attacker's spawn with that one, and that's no position that any Mercy should be going to try and help with the resurrection. So with the Reinhardt no longer there, that's going to be also 80 Bear going down on the Brigitte, and this is going to allow this attack to make their way more towards this first checkpoint, as they're trying to put up some defense, but it's very hard with limited members.
Limited members and limited vision. They only have basically one avenue to look through, and that is the overhang. And Obenik will put the cold shoulder to Rain Monitors. Good night, my man. There goes the Graviton Surge from Team Tentacle. And there's the suck in from both sides. Both the Gravitons are used. There goes the Dragon Strike from the side of the Junkeroos, and that's got nothing out of it. EVP will say, anything Obenik can do, I can do better by taking out both of these supports. Well, two of the supports anyway. And he's just still going, as a matter of fact. Red Monitors will say, my shield's better to Obenik by taking out the Reinhardt. Bananas will put an arrow right to the Brigitte. And it's still being contested on the point, but it may not be for long, as a matter of fact. There goes the Dragon Strike from the defending side of the Junkeroos. And this fight will still go on. The point is not ticked over to Team Tentacle just yet.
Yeah, and here comes another Graviton, but they don't have the same follow-up. They don't have the Dragon Strike to go straight through it, and here comes Earth Shatters on both sides, but it is starting to be a little bit more red, and this should secure this first checkpoint as they're trying to stick around. Mercy is very overextended, is going to get cleaned up, and that is finally going to be the first point secured, but that took a lot of time for that attack to really get rolling, and that was a very solid defense coming out from the side of the Junkeroos.
Both of these teams, as a matter of fact, seem to have a lot of grit, spirit, and a severe lack of fear. If you base that off of their Reinhardt play alone, like Obenik and Evie are basically both playing like the Reinhardt in the cinematic for Honor and Glory. They're just running out there and running amok, and it's been both a blessing and a curse thus far. And they're just about to go under the bridge for the second point just before the seaside section, as could be worse, gets erased, and that is one support taken out of the entire fight. There was a reply from Bananas, but it could be too little too late if this keeps up. And they keep getting forced back on the side of Junkeroos. They may just let this rally run out and just concede a little bit more of the seaside section.
Yeah, 80-Bear is going to be popping the rally up in that. Well, they use that to try and get a little bit of pressure onto the point, but Bananas gets taken out on the backside as the Genji is going to be a bit of a problem on those backlines, as they don't have the best tools at dealing with a lot of the Genji players, as here comes the Dragon Blade that managed to take down Darkerak on Mercy. It also takes down Obenik, as that's another two going down to the Dragon Blade, and that's going to secure a lot more space for them to allow them to push through this second checkpoint. And I'm not sure if the defense are going to be able to get there in time to really push them back, as KGB has been doing a lot of work with this Widowmaker, cleaning out that Moira from these fights and making it hard for the defense to really set up.
Especially just dividing everybody's attention. It did take Bananas taking JB out of the fight to really make their presence known, but don't count 80-Bear out just yet. There goes the Earth Shatter for the side of the Junkeroos. Obenik will claim Ram Monitors swatting like a mosquito, but then two are replied in turn from Team Tentacle, and if I were the Junkeroos, I would just try to fall back now and try to hold last, because the longer this keeps up from Team Tentacle, the more spread out you're going to be. It looks like that is what they are trying to do. but Team Tentacle is not letting up. There goes the Graviton Surge, as a matter of fact.
Here we go.
The Dragon Grab will come out from Bananas and Obenic with the assist for the cleanup. And they were just waiting for the right time. And actually, this has fallen into their favor for the side of the Junkeroos if you look at the card's position. I don't think you could have asked for anything better, all things considered. But
yeah,
what are you doing all the way out there?
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm not sure, but that is a pretty good position for them to start a hold. But now they have to. There's 2 minutes to go. Have to see how this attack comes in. They've only got Transcendence to really help them out in a pinch while they try and work up towards some of those other big high impact ultimates. They do have a Graviton now to try and get something to work. As we do have the front liners just wailing away at each other. As the rally up is going to get used by Andy Bear. Having another one, he steps forward very fast. Here comes a Graviton. And say, here comes another Dragon Blade. They managed to pick off Andy Bear as the supports are down. There's one left, but it's probably not going to be enough as they are forced all the way back. Some of the kills are going to go back over as an Earthshadow with no follow-up. And that's going to be Unique stepping forward a bit far. Probably going to get cleaned up, as the rest of the team is not there to help out. And this is going to give a little bit more room over to the attacking side to push their way forward.
Obenic might be very, very cranky at that, even though it was a mistime or a complete not a miscue. But he put out the Earth Shadow, nothing came of it. And this entire defense is spread side to side. They're almost giving a royal entrance to the red team of Team Tentacle. And you see Sir JB still on the McCree going 1-for-1 with the Peacemaker. The Reinhardt did end up going to a duel, and Eevee got the better of Obenic, as a matter of fact. So we are at an even keel in terms of manpower, but in terms of tanks, there is one less. And it looks like there is still this absolute nail-biting tit-for-tat war. But if you keep an eye on Sir JB, if you can find the way around into a backline, it could be an absolute menace with this Deadeye.
Or even just to shatter a lot of those shields, because that's what's keeping a lot of that backline safe, is all of those extra shielding as they are going to step forward.
Oh dear, keep an eye on Sir.
Oh, great Shadow, as they are going to lay most of them down, as KJB is on the backside, managed to just use the Deadeye just to clean up the Mercy, and that should be enough to at least secure them some more space. Could be worse trying to stick around on the point, but that's not going to be enough. It's almost into overtime. They managed to secure it before the end of overtime, so that's really well done there for the side of Team Tentacle. And now we have to see how the return fire works out for them.
Indeed, it took them a lot longer than the initial push would really let on. But to be fair, this was just an absolute grueling slugfest for all 3 points. Especially for me, it was the second point. That was an absolute just a brawl on both sides.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like every moment there's an opportunity. Anytime there's an opportunity for anyone to fight, they are just going in no holds barred. They're just like throwing the gloves down. They're just like, all right, let's punch on. And with Obenic and also EVP on the Reinhardts, they're typifying that perfectly. They just want to just punch on. They're charging in, trying to make the big plays happen. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes they go right into their opponent's spawn and just overextend and make it really hard for the rest of their team. But you can't win them all, I guess.
I just had an amazing visual in my head. Just these two opposing Reinhardts in a bar, just necking sides between each other. It's like, if you can't do it, I will. And then they just skull an entire Stein in one go and just go hammer and tongs
I was going
on the
more with
entire
the,
opponent's
like the whole
squad.
with the ice hockey where they just throw off the gloves and start punching.
Oh, they drop the gloves and get 5-minute mages.
Yeah,
Yes.
that kind of thing. That's what I'm kind of imagining between the two.
Yes, that's actually quite a good quite a good thing, because they would punch on and rally the team up, but then they'd be taken out of the fight, just like the penalty would be in any thing of ice hockey. You'd be set into the
just get into the penalty
into the box for fighting. Sit in the box for fighting. Go back into the respawn. But with all that banter all said and done, there was a little bit of a high-low defense for the side of Team Tentacle this time, and it looks like it paid off thus far, as the fire strike goes right into the gate and chunks up the Junkeroos quite early.
Yeah, we'll have to see how long this defense lasts, because we've seen very often that high defense doesn't really last all that long once the payload starts turning that corner. But now they've very efficiently brought themselves back to the courtyard, trying to use those long sight lines to force away this attack.
Just a little bit of free room given to them, and fresh eggs will be the first one to claim a frag in this first half, and Aliana will slam one in tow. And it could be worse. Did get brought back into the fight, but it may be off a note with a clean sheet thus far for Team Tentacle, and Aliana will let the Zarya flex on the opposing one of your left sock. What about my left sock? And then the Junkeroos will actually have to wait for the rest of the comrades to return and try again. But with that that Sonic Arrow, I think it showed the position of the waiting Mercy and Brigitte. So it could be an elongated fighter, but still.
Yeah, the front lines are still very okay to stand right at the front. Bananas is got the high position, so he has a good line towards the back line of the defenders, but he's going to get forced away because you got two of those snipers looking right at you. It's not a very fun spot to be in, as AAOL does get brought back up. The Valkyrie does get used, so they are going to have a lot of pressure in this fight as the Earth Shatter locks down two members, but it's not going to be enough as return kills come in. Rain Monitors on the Hanzo, just whipping arrows left, right, and center. And cleans up that fight. This is a rather solid defense coming out of this first point for Team Tentacle.
Indeed, especially with Sir JB, if he's just left to his own devices, as it seems to have been thus far, he'll just be an absolute terror if he's left unchecked. It looks like they're going into the hotel and wanting to go towards the higher ground. Bananas did get the first reply onto Rain Monitors, and it'll be the Sonic Arrow no less. The Venom Mine did go out and end up getting tripped. So a little bit more room was gained by the side of the Junkeroos after that frag, and they will get a little bit further into the courtyard. And Surf actually went down a strange way, going down into the orb thanks to the motto of could be worse. There goes the Graviton Surge, and there goes Rain Monitors with a stiff reply, dare I say, with 4 being claimed. And I think the cart will stay right there for the time being, thanks to that Dragon Grab, and we'd run just under a minute 20.
Yeah, I may have seen that play before. I just throwing it out there. I think I've seen that one before.
I'm getting bored of this show, Fitz.
Yeah, it's
Netflix. I'm no longer watching this.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Urban Ink is getting chunked down very, very hard in the opening engagement. Zarya was up front.
Here we go.
There goes the Graviton Surge, and there goes the Transcendence to try and negate everything. Bananas did not take anyone down with any Dragons of any sort. There goes the arrows. There goes the Earth Shatter from Eevee. The ever so mighty German hammer. And him and the Zarya of Aliana will melt this entire attack, and we're running under 30 seconds, and the Junkeroos have to come up with an answer. They have to come up with a pass. They barely have anything to work with going into this fight. They'll only have an Earth Shatter if Obadiah engages first.
Yeah, it looked like that was essentially their almost a all or nothing play, utilizing some of their ultimates to try and secure them the position to get that point going. But we're gonna good start to this fight, taking down Sir KJB. They might have a little bit more room to work with. The Earth Shatter was blocked for the most part, but Aliana was managed to get knocked down, but he's going to be able to survive for a little bit longer. But Ominique just stepping forward, he's walking, slowly carrying a very big club, manages to take down 2, but the rest of the defense is going to stick around, trying to help delay this point even more, as the Valkyrie does get used to try and secure them to this first checkpoint, as Aliana not really being touched too much, finally turning around the defense, or the attack is going to take down the Zarya, but with both tanks down, that should secure them this first point. But still, they've got a lot of work to do at this point.
They got bled into overtime, did the Junkeroos, and
yeah.
Aside from a point win, that could have gone just about as good as you could have asked for if you're on the side of Team Tentacle. You've bled them out to the maximum time. They're left to 2 minutes and 30. Left yourselves enough time to get into a little bit of a better position for the second point, as the cart did cross the bridge and is moving outside of the hotel. So this war of attrition will actually keep continuing. It looks like we're going to keep just butting heads until one of them collapses.
Yeah, that's essentially been the MO for both of these teams, and here comes the repeat. I don't think we need to really say anything about that.
That was all 6. Bold for 6 were the entire squad of the Junkeroos. Thank you very much. And that will be, well, them stabbed out with an exclamation point. But that's not the end of it. They've still got a minute and a half maybe a little bit less to try and get a little bit more progress to the Junkeroos.
Did you say bold for 6? Because that's not usually how it works. You hit them for 6.
What's hard?
It's like you were in the right spot.
I went for the wrong end. But he did put out the Earthshatter and took out his counterpart Nevi, and Cirque JP is the only one that's able to reply. That is taking the mercy out of consistence, but the feed is blue. You had to get that jab in, didn't you, Phoenix? And
that's a sport that I know.
I know, and you're just like, son, what are you doing? You got it wrong!
I appreciate that you had the right spot in both of the sides of it, but that is going to be a great return fight coming out for the attack, and they are going to secure themselves the second checkpoint. But still, they got a bit of work to do trying to get themselves to the third point, and they will want to do it before overtime ticks. Have kind of keep in the game.
Well, yeah, if they do get to overtime, though, I believe it's 1 minute added to both sides. So it's going to be essentially one and done for both sides. So, in that sense, we're at an even kill. There goes the Dragon Strike from Rain, and that didn't claim anyone, but it did spread everybody out. It did drop your left sock to the bench. It does have the Graviton in pocket, and 80 Bear's done a lot of work, and Overnick and the Mighty Hammer did use the Earthshatter and take out two of his compatriots, and 80 Bear, just outside the shield, did get hung out to dry, but did not go down. There goes the War of Attrition. The Graviton did come out, as a matter of fact. There goes the Dragon Strike once again. Did not claim anybody this time. There is no quoting for 6s. I'm leaving it blank this time to prevent any retort. There is Cirque JP taking out the tech of Overnick, and now it looks like the Junkeroos' Splendiferous attack has been pulled to a halt for now.
Just a little bit, as well. Actually, KGB gets taken down, does get resurrected, so we'll have that McCree still live and kicking and forcing away this attacking side, as they do finally have Overnick coming back into the point. But both these Reinhardts, they've just been getting shatters left, right, and center. I mean, not all of them have been getting those higher values, and a lot of the time, a lot of the follow-up hasn't really been there, but they've got so many shatters throughout these rounds. It's really quite hilarious to watch this shatter and a shatter into a shatter, and these two Reinhardts are just slugging away, as here comes the combo yet again. There they go.
Rain has got so much. Rain has got so much value out of the Dragon Grab combo, it is ridiculous. That will put a bow, an exclamation point, and an express post packet on that map. Team Tentacle will be your victors, 3 points to 2. And we go on to the final map of this evening, which will be Hanamura. And as a surprise to absolutely nobody, this is about as predictable as Jonak being your MVP in the Overwatch League. They actually got hit for 6. I can do it again this time.
There you go.
And there it is. I got it. And he got the entire squad. With a thumb, mind you.
Yeah, that was just... Surprise, surprise, a lot of those fights came down to the Graviton into the Dragon Strike. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, in the way the current meta has been shaping up, that was what turned out being the big impact?
That may be the big difference between this being the last week and then stage 2 in a couple of weeks' time for the Overwatch League.
I heard that changes between...
They're going to have to try to come out with a way to make that entire combo less effective. Perhaps we'll see more divas being run where they just eat both of the offending combo. Who knows?
Who knows? But something, because it's
absolutely astounding how much value that a lot of the teams have gotten out of that combo, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's a little bit... I hate to say it, but it's a little bit brain dead. You don't have to, because as you mentioned, like the diva, there's no divas around in the current meta, so you can throw those wherever you want. You can throw the Graviton wherever you want. You just need to throw a dragon in that general vicinity, and more often than not, you're going to be grabbing kills. So it requires like rather base level synergy and coordination.
A little bit, but it's it's really a testament to how good at least basic teamwork can be in Overwatch. You can get a lot of value out of only 2 ults.
Teamwork working out in a team game? Huh, who'd have thought it?
I know, but in a game that's as popular as this, you'd be surprised how little that type of scenario actually crops up.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of soul searching, and that's why there's a lot of teams in this entire league that have learned a lot. They've played a lot. They're into 6 rounds deep, so that's 3 times 6. What 21? 18? 18 maps played. Math is hard.
This is 18.
Yes, we're going into map number 18 of their journeys. And there we go.
Alrighty.
It looks like... Oh, they've got the names upside down, so we have to get that accrued.
They have been switched, I do believe.
Yes, indeed. They've got their names the wrong way around.
I think that was just switched up, so...
yes. Yes,
have been redone, so should be all good as we get into, as you mentioned, the 18th map of this event for these teams.
Indeed, and Hanamura, it's a tale of 2 styles. Either you get a quick and dirty run through the entire map, or it's going to be an absolute grind through both points, or even not even taking the second point, which is the shrine, which is a problem that has cropped up time and again. Either getting close and not making it, or just flat out being shut out.
Yeah, it can get very frustrating, this map, because of that ability to just get stonewalled at the second point, or even the first point, should things really not go into your favor. Once it starts falling apart, it's just not fun to be around. But a lot of the time we are seeing a lot of the bum rush kind of strategies from that first point, using Brigida, Lucio, just rush your way onto the point, just don't give the defense any... Well, if they are trying to set up a static defense, just run straight past it, make it null and void, and force them to react to your positioning. And we're seeing that be quite successful more often than not.
Indeed. And actually, I'm actually kind of curious. This is sort of looking into the microscope of the future. With Wrecking Ball on the horizon, how do you think he will impact those types of... Well, mainly 2CP, just because of his aggression and his ability to reposition himself. Will he be at the head of a lot of those attacks, or will he just be on the flank or just be an absolute pest?
I'm really not sure. It's still a bit too early to tell. I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation when it comes to Wrecking Ball and how he fits it, or what kinds of compositions he'll fit into. But I feel as just from an initial glance, the style that we started to see develop on the 2CP maps, where it was just like 3 tanks, 3 supports, I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of style suits Wrecking Ball, where you do just have a whole bunch of big HP targets that you can just rush your way through and just barrel in like a wrecking ball, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Funny that he could work in that kind of composition.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. It won't work. Anyway, that is the defenses put in place, and the gates will now open. Your first attackers will be the Junkeroos. And, oh boy, looking at this composition, we could see another tooth and nail battle of both of the teams, especially with... Rain Monitors would be the one that I want to keep an eye on, but Bernaz will get the better of Sir JB for the time being, so that's one part of the defense taken out of the equation. It looks like Eevee's trying to get the reply, but it looks like the attackers are standing firm for now at the gate.
Yeah, really great move there from Bananas to get up there, but on the second time going up there, it does get trapped, but it doesn't actually have a follow-up there. Rain Monitor, I'm going to say Raging Monitors, just Rain Monitors on the Junkrat this time has already got a Riptide for himself, and he's doing a lot of damage. But here comes a Coalescence. They try to make their way through it, but a great Earth Shatter just completely stunts that. They clean up the front line and then turn their attention to the rest of the members to lane flat on the floor as Rain Monitors is moving forward very far. Mercy team is starting to make their way through, as this is already a rather solid first defense coming out for the side of Tentacle.
It took a little bit of work and a little bit of grip, but they ended up getting there in the end, and Team Tentacle will hold on. Keep an eye on Rain Monitors. He does have the Junkeroos, the Riptire in his back pocket. Bananas again at Cirque JB. They're just having a public war of weaponry. And they got the better of each other again. There goes the Junkrat trap and Rain Monitors. That will definitely alert people to their presence, but then Bananas gets laid out thanks to some high explosive grenades. The Mine will actually go forward, and it's definitely made the side of the Junkeroos a little bit more cautious going into this next push.
And Sir KJB moved over to the McCree, not wanting to go for that Widow anymore, realizing that he's just getting preyed upon by Bananas on that Hanzo just a little bit too much. As Shadow goes down, the Valkyrie has been used in response to try and keep the rest of the team alive. Bananas is in a good position to try and secure some kills, but nothing's going down yet. Raymond picks up the first one of the fight, manages to take down David on the Zaya, and this could just force away this attack yet again.
They've definitely put up the iron wall now, and poor side of the Junkeroos. They've been just trying to get in there, but they've been unable to breach thus far. And given that the rally was used in that last fight, the AD Bear's taking a while to try and get that. And oh dear.
Yeah, that was a bit of a misplaced Earth Shadow. Doesn't get anything out of that. And that's going to be a bit of an awkward situation. But here comes the double Graviton, and multiple Gravitons, multiple Dragons being thrown in. Actually, just the one Dragon getting thrown in, as the other side doesn't even have a Hanzo to follow up on that. But it looks like it's just trading back and forth for the point, as Overnique is going to be on the point. He's going to be sclapping away with that left click, but with the Resurrection, there is going to be more members on the side of the defense, but with the rest of the team slowly trickling their way onto the point, it's just going to be continual trading back and forward as the beefy front line. He's probably going to be a little bit too much for the Mercy to stick around, and Bananas on the Hanzo is just going to click heads, and that is going to secure the first point for the side of the Junkeroos.
It took them a while, but they got there. Dare I say it was entirely because of that Dragon Grab combo. Basically got them the one frag that they needed to even try to breach that, because until that point it looked like the entire defense for Team Tentacle was ironclad. You couldn't breach it with anything, not even with certain other characters from other games that have military weaponry.
Yeah,
but that's for another day.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they tried to
they did a thermite.
They needed some thermite just to bust it through, but it wasn't. Well, they managed to get there in the end with a nice Graviton and the Dragon Strike, and now they're trying to make their way towards the second point. They're going for the high ground, but they're taking their time making their way through as Bananas gets forced away and back out to the front door, trying to get a bit of a different angle on some of the DPS line, as we do have the Reinhardts, as per usual, as we've seen throughout this entire series, just slapping away at each other, charging each other up for days, as an Earth Shadow lays down 3 as they manage to start the fight off in a good position, as EVP is the first to go down as they try to make their way towards the point, as AD Bear cleans up F Scott. The Graviton comes in, but they don't really have the follow-up on that. They don't have the Hanzo to follow up. Oh, I say it, they don't have a follow-up, but they got the Riptire as a substitute to the Dragon as they make their way back towards the point. Here comes an Earth Shadow, but because someone was way in the sky, they didn't really get that much value. Here comes a Coalescence as they're trying to just trade ultimates back and forward, but it is another one of the situations, Sabo, where we're still getting chaos on the point.
Nearly a full-blown war of attrition. It looks like they finally got strong arm thanks to Rain Monitors and his Junkrat. That Riptire, it prevented the attack from getting so much more out of that. They only got 1 tick and some change on that one. 41.3% as it says on your UI. We go just under 2 minutes and 30. But they have that combo in the back pocket on their next attack, and if they end up playing their cards right, they will be able to at least get a tiny bit of value, unless Fresh Eggs can transcend everybody onto a plane of existence that's several times more powerful than we are led to believe. There goes the Sonic Arrow to alert the entire attacking side of their predicament, and there goes Rainbow with the Riptire, killing everybody up on the perch. There goes the Moira Mercy and the Brigitte. Your support just got wiped out right from underneath you, and the rain will wash away any resemblance of an attack after that. Goodness me, I miss Riptires like that.
Exactly, and also incredibly importantly was that David actually used his Graviton, so they don't have that combo coming in to this next push. So that's going to be massive. We're looking to have that combo be the defining point of this upcoming attack. But they're just going to have to throw it out raw, and it's not really going to have the same value. They do have the Transcendence to keep the rest of the team alive. The Valkyrie is going to get used as well. The Rally Up is being used, but there's no one around the rest of the Brigitte, so there's no armor going to the rest of the team as they are just trickling the way to the point. A great Earthshatter Lace fall down on the floor to clean up fresh eggs on the Zenyatta, and that is a good start for them. Trying to make their way and try and clean up the rest of this defense, but the Earthshatter in response looks like is going to clean up the rest of this attack.
And EVP, there you go, Bananas, and pulling it back once again. It has been the scrappiest of scrappy fights right in the middle of the shrine. Zarya is the only one left to defend until Sir JP is there to assist. The red team of the Junkeroos is still getting a percentage on the point. They've gotten 2/3 now, going into a third, and they're only just trying to bleed time now on the side of Team Tentacle. And then they just got turned into calamari after all that, and it took them forever, it felt like, but they did end up getting 2 points, and they only have 21 seconds in their back pocket should this go to extras.
But time is time when you're talking about a time bank, and considering how that first point ended up going, that's pretty good timing, or a pretty good time for that push coming out from the side of it was
Junkeroos on the attack.
Junkeroos were the ones who were on the attack, yeah, because they just switched names around. Completely got me a little bit mixed up, but we'll have to see how this attack goes for the side of Team Tentacle, because I feel as though they didn't have the Hanzo, so they didn't have the cleanest follow-up on those Gravitons. And even though on the other side, for that attack, even though they didn't have the Graviton for that final fight, well, for that final push, it didn't necessarily, or not having that combination, it forced them to fight pretty much straight up, and they were able to get the fights going more efficiently in that manner than trying to rely on that combo almost as a crutch.
They were almost having forced to play a grinding strategy, given that they didn't have the ever so popular Dragon Grab in their back pocket. They only had one half of it, as opposed to both. So, with all things considered, they finally got it done, and at least forced extras if the side of Team Tentacle do not end up finishing the map outright. But we are going into the attack phase. It doesn't look like there is a lineup change in terms of heroes for the Junkeroos. And Ray Monitor's on the Doomfist, actually.
I'm still waiting. Is it actually going to be? Alright, going with the Doomfist, wanting to just go all in on that strategy. Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
Well, see ya, mate.
And
gets the revive right away.
Scott did use the revive, but that will be something for Bananas to note that has been used. There goes the Sonic Arrow. That's going to let everybody know where some of the members are standing, but all the Ruckus will do the same as well. There goes the Doomfist boy into the fight and then out of the fight very quickly. Thanks over, but he took the Zenyatta with him as well. They're going extremely far forward. You can't really blame them though after a fight win like that, and that's forced the team of Team Tentacle to sort of go back and say, no, that's not going to work. We're going to have to change a couple things. It looks like Ray Monitors is actually sticking with his Doomfist, which is a bit of a curious thing to stick with.
Yeah, they all trying to get it to work. Oh, trying to make a sneaky play, just jump right up there and punch Bananas right into a wall before he could really react to it. But he's going in very deep, wanting to really sow a little bit of chaos, but it's just not working out for him so far. As a great Earthshatter cleans up two, they're able to kill EVP on the front line, and then there goes Sir KJB, as that's going to be another attack thwarted. by the side of the Junkeroos. As I'm not sure that Doomfist is going to be the success that they're looking for, so they switch back over to the Genji, hero that they've had much more success with over the course of this series.
Especially the first map on Lijiang Tower. Rain Monitors did have a good day on that one. Maybe that form will actually continue. The flashbang did stun up EVP, did get a little bit of damage onto him, but he did get healed up. Graviton is at the ready from Draven, so be wary of that, but he will not need it with 80 Bear and Oberdeek thinning out the attacking numbers. But with the side of Team Tentacle going down, keep this in mind, they are 5 ultimate strong, and Rain Monitors, if he plays his cards right, will have the Dragon Blade ready to unsheath in this next fight. So it's not over for the defended side of the Junkeroos, not by a long shot.
Yeah, they still have some good opportunities to make their way into the point, but right now I have to see how they go. Oh, they're just using everything right off the bat. Here comes the Graviton into the Dragon Blade. Doesn't really get anything out of it, as the Deadeye is going to clean up the Moira, and now they're going to start making their way towards the point. The defending Reinhardt has been taken down. The Resurrection used on the Moira instead of the front liner, so they want to keep a lot of the healing going through in these fights, as the Dragon Blade has been brought out, trying to get anyone down. Does take down David on the Xayah, and the rest of the team is falling down, and this should be the first point secured by the side of Team Tentacle.
It took them a while, but they got there in the end. They got 1 hot minute left until the extra time gets added, so they have about 5 minutes to break into the shrine. And now that the defense is entirely respawned and has a chance to get into position, any chance of a snowball sort of fading away, so this could be a full-blown war for the next 5 minutes. But they've just walked right out across the bridge and over to the point, but they are now down a man thanks to 80 Bear and the flail.
Yeah, they did get the resurrection though, and because they've just walked onto the point, they've forced a reaction, but that's a pretty good reaction. You just walk onto him, just throw that Earth Shatter, and just slam him right out of the shrine. So that is going to be the first push just repelled, but there were 2 ultimates used to do so, and on the other side, pretty much nothing was used, so not really investing too much, just going for some of those dry runs, trying to build up some charge for themselves until we get enough that we can see a bit of a repeat from what we saw in the first point. Just have everything, just like an embarrassment of riches, and yeah, just overwhelm your opponent with how many ultimates you have in your bank.
If all else fails, just throw money at it. It seems to be the order of the day. There goes the Dragon Strike from Bananas. As a matter of fact, it did not claim anyone. Did get Rain Monitors extremely low, but it doesn't really matter when there's nobody there to protect you. Overnick will put his shoulder right to Cirque JB, and he's taken out of the fight. And this could be an entire attack repelled just off of those 2 picks, and they're just deciding to hang back as EVP hits the deck.
Yeah, and yet again, not using anything on those kind of light echo runs. They do have quite a lot to work with. The one they're probably waiting on the most will be that Dragon Blade out of Rain Monitors. We're seeing him get a lot of value out of that, but for the rest of the team, they have a lot to work with. The only one they're waiting on is also that Valkyrie, so they can kind of approach this however they want, but looking at the other side, you're looking at an Earthshadow, which has been very impactful. You also have to look at the positioning of 80 Bear, who has been a real thorn in the side of Rain Monitors, just punching him around left, right, and center. Bananas does take down so KJB, so that's a good start to the fight. Resurrection does get used to try and make their way into this high ground, but already this defense has been set up so strongly that it's really hard to push into it. But here comes the combo.
There goes the Graviton Surge, and Rain Monitor is just like, I saw this team in half. And him and Fresh Eggs just run right through the Junkeroos, and they get the final third, and they have a far better time. They have 2 minutes 54 in their back pocket, as opposed to the singular minute on the side of the Junkeroos.
Yeah, so they have a lot more time to work with, but it's not impossible for either side to win this. They are both in a pretty good position, because we've seen this first point sometimes be taken on the very first push. Sometimes it just can get ground out no matter how long you're really looking at it. So 1 minute, that can be enough to take the point. Almost 3 minutes on the other side, that you can still defend that reasonably.
Indeed, and even still, like I've seen in other play, like I've seen a 6 minute, like a nearly 6 minute defense come out once, which is absolutely absurd. So it can be done. It well and truly can. It's just gonna come down to, it's basically a test of your mettle at that point.
Theoretically, it's possible, but it's not likely for it to happen more times than not when you have like 4, 5, 6 minute attempts at that first point. But with 2 minutes 54, it's defendable, I'll say. But because, especially considering how those first rounds went for both sides, it took quite a while for that first point to be taken, but the second one felt a little bit easier. I have to say, because a lot of the attack from Team Tentacle, they relied on having pretty much every ultimate in the book to get those players onto the point, whereas on the other side, they do have that big combo in their pocket, and that's essentially what they've been utilizing to get a lot of their pressure.
Then maybe that will be the next plan of attack, to try and either neutralize or try to soften the blow of it. And fresh eggs will crack all over Dakarak. There goes your omelets. That is the Zen taken out of the fray. The resurrection actually forced out. The under 30 seconds. And Aliana is just held them all strong thus far, and Bananas is the only one that is able to reply, but that may just be too little too late. We're running to just under 10 seconds right now. If this Riptide did claim a target, it would have been all over, but Obanik did have a last stand, took it out with a fire strike, but that could be all they wrote. They're stuck at the gate, and they can't do anything. So, with that being said and done, Team Tentacle have a successful 1 hot minute defense, and in this remaining time, which is around 2 minutes and 50, they only have to get 1/3 of the time on that point. So that will put them on the clock. That will put the defense in a bit of a tight spot, essentially a one and done scenario.
Yeah, they have to make several really strong back-to-back defenses. It also depends on how the attack is going to try and come at it. Are they going to try and just run their way onto the point and just force a response out of the defense that may have been setting up in a specific static location? Or are they going to try for the grinding push that we've been seeing so far and just try and win through that? But it looks like I'm not sure if they are going to stick with that, but the Lucio, the Tracer and the Genji, that looks awfully like they're going to be diving real heavy.
They're going to be rushing it down. I can just tell from speed alone. Like, yeah, the speed boost to the back of Lucio, and the movement speed and just general agility of both the Tracer and the Genji in tow. Just wanting to basically pull the wool over the eyes of the defense and just make this an easy, good night map win. Make this a 3-2 map win. But the gates will open, and the opening stanza of the final map will commence.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how strongly this defense will be able to hold, because setting up at this position, it does make it a little bit more awkward for them to actually make this kind of play work, as the Tracer is going to be the first one to go down. EVP is also dropped as well. There are members on the point from the attack, but because they lost that front line, they really just cannot stick around. So that is going to be a kind of a one and done push that just, they try to get it to work, but as they got clipped right at the heels, right at the start, it just didn't really work out for them. Have to see how they react now. Yep, switching back to the Zenyatta, back to the McCree, going for a little bit more of a grinding strategy.
Yeah. Rain Monitors got staggered really bad there. There's the Bananas. They're going to have to wait for him to return to be fully ready. So that is a huge mistake on his part. Maybe just playing for pride. But that may not have been wise. They're starting to gather at the gate once more, and Obanik, and they're still going at it. Just get these two in a boxing ring already and just let them duke it out.
Oh, Bananas does get the kill onto Rain Monitors, and he is not in a position that is easily resible, so they're going to have to wait for him to get back as a Dragon Strike just gets thrown through the area. A bit of a zoning ultimate right there. They're not feeling like they need to be using it with the combination of the Graviton. 80-Bear does clean up Sir KJB, so that's another staggered death, so they are starting to put together some good kills. And we're starting to get to that position where it's getting a little bit testy. They have about a minute left on the clock, and they have to start getting something to stick right at this point.
They aren't truly running out of time if they don't want to draw. And I think the staggers have not helped one iota, not even in either an alt charge or just even in time shaved. Is because, well, they could have had at least maybe two more fights as of now. But there goes the Valkyrie from F. Scott. The troops have been rallied by 80 Bear as a matter of fact, and EVP was taken out by Bernard. That is a huge flag. It might not even be risible for the time being. He's gotten to it, as a matter of fact, but Bernard will take out Cirque JB, and Urban Nika, the Mighty Hammer, will be running over the opposition of Team Tentacle, and now it is one and done, or this could end in a draw.
Yeah, 20 seconds left. There's really not much time to even secure an overtime situation as the Dragon Blade gets thrown down, but the Transcendence is going to get used in response, and that's the old school combo and counter response, as we do have the Genji on the point. The rest of the rest of the attacking side is just dead in the water right at that gate. They're not going to be able to get anything to happen. The Genji is going to get cleaned up. The overtime's going to run out, and that is just going to be a draw on this map 3.
So we end this evening at a 2-0-1 win for Team Tentacle, but it was so entertaining to watch a lot of these fights and all of these points, just because it's just such a barroom brawl in a lot of these scenarios.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people will say, no, it's not clean, but no, it's entertaining though. That's exactly what we've got, as Ray Monitors will aptly demonstrate with his ever so sharp Dragon Blade. You can't use nearly enough flex tape to fix that.
Oh yeah, that was just when we have pretty much everyone set up, and that we've been talking about the Graviton into a Dragon Strike. Well, the Dragon Blade still does alright in following up the Graviton, as they're all just sat in a single position, and it's very hard to get out of that. But yeah, very nicely done from both teams. It is going to be the win going over to Team Tentacle, who played incredibly well and were able to get those combinations to work a little bit better, and were also able to do more without as much reliance on the Graviton and the Dragon Strike.
Well, at least they show that they do have a little bit of more at their disposal, as it were. But with all that said and done, that will be the conclusion of this set. It is a 2-0 and a one-map draw going to Team Tentacle, and Calamari will be on the menu tonight. And that will conclude week number 6 of Season 4 of the Australian Amateur Overwatch League. And we're going on break for a week or two. So, Geophoenix, do you want to say anything else before we sign off and bid the masses adieu?
Not too much. I mean, it's always been a lot of fun casting these games, and I look forward to seeing how things are going to develop once we, after the break. Maybe we'll have Wrecking Ball coming in the future, and we'll see how things develop.
I don't think, sadly, I don't think we'll see any hamsters and balls, but hopefully it will come in very, very soon.
Oh, yeah.
With all that said and done, that will conclude our coverage for this evening. I want to thank you all very much for watching. My right-hand man and co-caster has been GL Phoenix. My producer for this section has been Zero Aim. I have been Justin, aka Saber Waste. Good night, happy fragging, and be the best hero you can be.